Been working on a theory here, and I'm just going to write it out, trying to do the research for it, and I'm just thinking I'm just going to put this out and see what people think, see if any of you, I have some really brilliant viewers and things. I'm not trying to butter you up, make you feel good. I'm not. I'm just trying to say some of you have some really keen insights. So I'm going to put this out there. Give me your thoughts on it. I'd like to learn from some of you. I believe that there are two different systems here. We have Christian Zionism, and then you have Masonic Zionism. Now, my theory is that this one here, this isn't a theory, this is fact. This one here came about in the 7th century. Now, they say, well, John Nelson Darby created the whole dispensational thing and the Christian Zionism and whatever else. No, he didn't. Okay, anybody that says that, you can tell that they're ignorant. They're just repeating things that they've been taught. Right here, dispensationalism before Darby. Did a whole other video on this, read some quotes from it. Dispensationalism was the primary system of belief for the first 3 centuries. There are church father quotations where they're talking about, the millennium coming up and everything else. They called it different economies of God. They didn't say dispensation necessarily, but they would say economies of God. But he proved it, including recent church historians that are saying, yeah, dispensationalism was there in the early first 3 centuries before Roman Catholicism showed up in the 4th century. So there's no question about that. But the real hardcore Christian Zionism started actually in England under Oliver Cromwell and the members of Parliament after they deposed King Charles I, the son of King James, and then you had King Charles I. King Charles I was doing a bunch of things, scheming with the Roman Catholic Church, even though he wasn't supposed to. His father said that no future king or queen can be a Roman Catholic. So what does his son do? He marries a Roman Catholic. Great, the Princess of France. And so King Charles was getting more and more corrupt. The members of Parliament rose up. They had the English Civil War in the mid-1600s, and they overthrew Charles I, and they set up a temporary parliamentary government. Oliver Cromwell was the Lord Protector of that. Under that government, they reintroduced the Jews to the land of England. All right, the Jews had been kicked out previously, and they were brought back, and usury got started and the whole thing again, and big problem. But why did they bring them back? He has the quotations in here from 17th century clergymen showing it's, he even said in here, this won't be a fun book to read because it's just quotations. I mean, he went to the University of Cambridge in England and he got the actual quotes, looking at the actual books and everything that have survived, showing that yes, they were dispensational. A lot of the clergymen were dispensational. But they had this thing of, in order for us to bring in the millennial kingdom, the Jews have to be back in their land. They understood it that way. In the 17th century, 1600s in other words, okay? So Christian Zionism starts in the 17th century. The modern thing of they need to go back to the land of Israel. And of course, who was it that helped the Jews go back to the land? Oh, that's right, the Balfour Declaration. England was the one that helped out with the thing of the land of Palestine being taken back for the Jewish people. All right, so anybody says, no, it's a 19th century thing, 1820 with John Nelson Darby, they don't know what they're talking about. And C.I. Schofield and all the other stuff. But see, I believe, I can't say Schofield or Darby were into Masonic, the Freemasonic stuff. I don't know. That'd be one thing that you could provide me if you can actually show me. I don't want conjecture. I don't want whatever. I would need to see actual proof of a Masonic lodge saying, yes, they were part of it. Okay. Well, there's a guy that wrote about it. He thinks that no. I want to see actual proof. I would actually need to see documentation. All right. They could be. But a lot of the preachers in the 19th century, a lot of the big shot preachers like Billy Sunday, Sam Jones, those guys were both Freemasons. And I believe J. Frank Norris was. I think, what's his name, the British guy, Charles Haddon Spurgeon. I think he might have been one as well. He did the hidden hand thing. They're different, where they do this thing and they put their hand in like that. That's a Masonic hand gesture that you're basically saying hi to other Masons, to put it very mildly. All right. So what I'm thinking is, obviously, this thing of the Freemasonic stuff comes in very strong in the 19th century. So what I'm thinking is, and you have the, the square or the compass here, and then you have the square of Freemasonry, like that with the God of Freemasonry generativity thing there in the middle. So it's a veiled hexagram, as above, so below, the whole thing, all the occult stuff. Again, I'm not going to get into all that stuff, but what I'm saying is, what's the difference between these two movements? This one here, you have millenarians, and they're saying they were doing so good back, after the Reformation years there, and they're having all these great things happening, the printing of the Authorized Version, which later became known as the King James Bible, and all this great stuff. The Catholic Church is being pushed out of different countries, and they're thinking, we have to be here. It's the 1,000-year kingdom has to be right around the corner. And they were predicting it to happen in the 17th century. A lot of these clergymen, obviously they were wrong. But they were saying the one big problem was, we need the Jews to go back to the land of Israel. They have to be in the land of Israel in order for the prophecies of Scripture to be fulfilled. They understood that back then. And that's why they said, okay, we're going to let the Jews come in here. We'll let them settle back in England, and we're going to help them to get to Israel. We'll try to help them get their land back. Took almost 300 years for them to do that, but that's what's happened, right? So this is a movement saying the Jews have a right to be back in the land. The Bible plainly prophesies that they would be back there in that land in the end times. That's why Moses and Elijah come there to the streets of Jerusalem. That's why all these different signs and wonders are happening. The Jews require a sign. The book of Revelation is for the Jewish people. It's not for the Christian church. We don't need Jesus revealed to us. They need him revealed to them as their Messiah. But somewhere between here and the 19th century, write that down here. Somewhere between here and here, you started to have Freemasons coming around. And they brought in this weird doctrine, which again, I can prove this. This is stuff I can prove. I can prove this through here. Okay, I have the quotes. Right there it is. This is not conjecture. This is proof. It was the 17th century that started Christian Zionism. And I can prove that there were Freemasons in the 19th century that were calling themselves Christians. My question is, was it Darby that did it? Was it Schofield that did it? I have no connection to either guy. I don't care about them at all. My whole faith is not based on them, and without those guys, I wouldn't be a dispensationalist. Nonsense. Dispensationalism has been around since the first 3 centuries. Okay, not to mention the fact I could just read my Bible and say, yeah, it's dispensational. But here's what I'm trying to say. We need to get the Jews and go back, send them back to their land. This one comes along, and all of a sudden, it's all the promises are there, and all Israel, it's hands off of Israel. Don't preach against them. Don't say that they need Jesus Christ, other than just kind of, well, sort of. The whole Judeo-Christian thing comes around over in this area here. And you get these guys that are in the pulpits and they're just saying, you speak against Israel, it's the apple of God's eye. You don't touch them. You don't say a thing against them. They're God's chosen people and all this other stuff. You don't dare say a thing against them. And anything bad that happens to America, it's because America is turned against the Jews. And we have to be radically pro-Israel. We have to just give away our country to Israel. Not remembering the fact that Jesus Christ warned about the Jews coming and saying we're going to bring in the kingdom without the Son. It's the Son, it's the heir. Let's kill him so that we can take that kingdom for ourselves. Jesus Christ warned about what they were going to do in the end times. You see, the Jews are not the innocent victims of the end times. They are the cause of the end times. That's why all of the prophecies, all the bad things that are happening in the book of Revelation, it's all centered in Israel. It's happening worldwide, but I'm saying the worst of the worst is happening in Israel. Who is the Antichrist that shows up? He just shows up and the poor Jews are going, we don't know what to do. I guess we'll just worship him. He showed up in our temple and we don't know who he is. No, that's not the case. They're looking and they're saying, it's the Mashiach. Oh, the Mashiach, he's here and everything. The synagogue of Satan, those that say that they're Jews and they're not, they're the ones that are bringing in this new world order. That's what they're doing. So what I'm saying is, give me your insights. I'm really curious. I'm going to read in all the comments. I want to know, what are your thoughts on this? Or is there actual proof that Schofield or Darby or some of these other 19th century guys, were they Freemasons? I mean, real proof, not little quotations, circumstantial evidence. No, I would need to see actual proof. And if not, are there other proofs of this? Because I have a theory. I think that there's some orders that are unknown to all of us out there that are within the Baptist churches, that are part of the Freemasonic Lodge, under the umbrella of Freemasonry. I remember being in Pennsylvania, and they had the Ephrata Cloister there, Ephrata, Pennsylvania, which is Lancaster County where I grew up. And there they had the Seventh-day Baptist movement. Old schoolhouse, and it was the Seventh-day Baptist that had this. And the cloister was kind of a German type of commune or whatever else. And they'd walk around in their white robes, and they'd sleep on little blocks of wood as their pillow. I'm not joking. And and you go looking all over the place. And I remember hearing somebody said at one point in time, they said that it was one of the first New Age communes in America, the Ephrata Cloister, and back in the 18th century. And it might have even been in the late 1600s too, I'm not sure, but definitely in the 1700s. And Benjamin Franklin liked to frequent the place and whatever. But all over the different buildings and everything else, my one friend and I, we were researchers, and we went the one time, and there in the gift shop, on the one wall, there was a little historical facts plaque or something like this. And it said that the cloister, they were some of the early Rosicrucians. And I thought, we both saw it, and it was, oh, look at that. There it is. It's Rosicrucian. There's some thoughts there that Martin Luther might have been involved in the Rosicrucian cult and whatever else. Interesting stuff, which is why he has rosy crosses and things. But let me know your thoughts. Why did we go from the Jews need to go back to their land to now, oh, we have to speak only positively about the Jews, and we will be cursed as a nation if we speak against the Jews for any reason, even talking about the Talmud or the Kabbalah or the usury issue or the Hollywood or the pornography industry, which is pretty much completely owned by the Jews. The fact that they were trying to kill off the white races and, destroy the Protestants, which is kind of interesting because that's sort of what the Jesuits do too. Ignatius de Loyola was a converso, Spanish, Jewish ancestry. But let me know what your thoughts are. How did we go from the Jews should go back to their land as a fulfillment of Bible prophecy to now all of a sudden the Jews have a right to the land, but we should definitely help to build it and finance it and never speak against it for any reason. And now you have 1,000 pastors, hirelings really, being brought to Israel and being trained. And we're going to use geofencing and all this other stuff to track and trace Christians that go to these church buildings. I have a video on it proving it. I show their papers. Kind of a weird situation. So please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, thank you very much for watching.